magic has always been a normal part of my life. I perceive magic as an energy that is in everything and in everyone, and it's a way of perceiving things that aren't quite there, the in-between things. When I was a little girl, I thought it was normal to hang out with fairies down by the creek in the meadow. And couldn't everyone see whispers of color around other people? Eventually I learned no, this was not the case. When I was 15, my mother, who's here today, brought me to my first full moon women's circle. We sat around the bonfire, singing, drumming, sharing stories and wisdom as the orange August full moon rose up from behind the mountains. I felt a deep remembrance in me of this way of being with women. It was amazing to sit in circle and see my magic reflected back at me from all the many faces of the goddess that were there that night. Now, like I said, I was 15, so I thought I had it all figured out. I had my whole life ahead of me. I sensed that even though I was nobody from a small town, that I was destined for great things. I felt a calling deep within me that I was meant to inspire people. I'd been on stage since I was 6 years old, and I knew people loved to watch me perform, so I thought, that must be it. So I confused this deeper calling with what society refers to as fame. And I unfortunately spent the next 15 years of my life pursuing this illusion of success. So after moving to the big city, after theater school, after backpacking through Central America, after a few winters as a ski bum, after going back and going to music college, I struggled through my 20s like a good suffering artist, craving any indication of success, desperately wanting recognition. By my mid-30s, I had spent tens of thousands of dollars on college tuitions and self-funded CD production costs and logged countless miles on tours. I remember coming home after this one weekend of gigs on the road, exhausted. I'd barely broken even after paying my musicians and the tour costs, which I knew by indie music standards meant I'd just had a successful tour. I didn't feel anywhere close to successful. I felt depleted and uninspired. I knew I loved singing. I knew that people loved to hear me sing, but I also then realized that I wasn't really inspiring people. I was just entertaining them. So I quit my dream. I got a job in administration, securing a stable paycheck, a clean office environment, and extended medical benefits. Let me tell you, there is nothing more agonizing to an artist than the pain of unfulfilled creative expression. Now, you may not be an artist, but I know that everyone in this room knows this pain that I'm talking about. It's the pain of feeling like you have a big message to share, but not knowing exactly what it is or how to express it. It's the pain of knowing that you're meant for more in this life, but not being able to achieve it. So there I was, creatively and spiritually grieving that some old friends invited me to an outdoor party. Of course I said yes. And when I got there, I just felt lighter, my heart expanded, playing, dancing outside. I felt my magic again. It was then that I realized just how numbed out I'd become on the routine of my life. During a medicine drumming session, I went into a trance and I asked my higher self, what is holding me back? Suddenly, I felt a flickering at my ankles. In my mind's eye, I looked down and I saw a circle of flames. I didn't know what I was feeling or seeing, so I just kept on breathing and staying with the vision. As the flames moved up my calves, I was gripped with a fear and a panic unlike anything I've ever felt in this life. Images flashed by suddenly, me being aggressively pulled around, a crowd of people staring, me looking down and seeing mud. I could hear men's voices shouting and like the echoes of dying screams around me. And as the flames grew higher, I was filled with the rage at the injustice of my murder. And the fire consumed me. It really happened. It really happened. In that moment, I finally understood why I had been holding back my whole life, expanding, then shrinking. I'd been afraid to stand up, to fully share who I was, because in the past, anyone who was considered to have magical knowledge was punished by silence and death. It was punished by death and silenced. And even though witches aren't burned at the stake anymore, there are many ways that others try to silence our truth and stifle our magic. I'd been too afraid to fully share who I was, my gifts, because the fear of persecution still lived in me. It was then that I realized I'd been carrying that fear for long enough. And I wanted to let it go for good. So there are 3 steps that I took and that I'm inviting you to take to find your magic. Awaken, reclaim, and gather. So the first step, awaken. Since you're here today, I know you've been feeling it, this huge wave of energy, as literally millions and millions of us women are rising up at this time, remembering who we are and the ancient medicine ways and sharing our women's wisdom. This is a beautiful uprising, and it is happening because the divine feminine is coming back into our remembrance, coming back into balance with the divine masculine. When you awaken the goddess within, you live with passion, power, and purpose. Now, the good news is you don't have to move away and become a nun or leave the people that you love in order to walk a spiritual path. We can wake up to our truth and embody our wisdom and still live in the world. In fact, it's imperative for our future generations that we do. Can you remember who you were before you became who you thought you should be? Maybe write that question down. You can journal on later. Can you remember who you were before you became who you thought you should be? And you can remember your truth through journaling, through meditation, through art, dance. It doesn't matter how you do it. What matters is that you do it and begin to awaken again to who you truly are. The second step is to reclaim. I considered myself a strong, independent woman. I thought I was smart and consciously awake. But instead of taking responsibility for my life or my choices, I used to blame. I would blame my parents. Sorry, Mom. I used to blame my ex-boyfriends. I would blame my crooked teeth. And I definitely blamed being Canadian as the reason why I wasn't successful in achieving my dreams. It wasn't until I accepted that I alone was the author of my destiny and stayed in that place of power that my life completely transformed. It was humbling when I realized that I had been giving my power away, that I had been playing the victim. Who or what are you still blaming for what you think you lack? Who or what are you still blaming for what you think you lack? And when you discover it, don't judge yourself. Judgment doesn't empower us, and in fact, only keeps us disconnected from divine source. Simply uncover it, acknowledge where you've been giving your power away, and reclaim it one day, one choice at a time. The third step is to gather. In order to accomplish anything, we must come together. Seeing your highest potential reflected back to you from women who are living, loving, and learning to their fullest is wildly inspiring and powerfully motivating. We simply must heal the sister wound. Sadly, there can be a lot of mistrust between women, and this has its roots in that sister wound. For me, it comes from a time when I remember it was not safe for us to gather. Perhaps you saw your mother struggle with jealousy and competing with other women, or you yourself have slowly poisoned friendships through comparison. Whatever your past, let it stay in the past. And from today onward, create opportunities for genuine sisterhood in your life. Maybe rekindle some old friendships that have grown distant through some fresh, authentic conversation. Or cultivate new friendships where you can be seen for who you are today and not who you used to be. Either way, make time for your sisters, for your friends. Sisterhood is so important for us. Sisterhood is key to activating change. As we transform ourselves, we transform the world. I envision our granddaughters and great-granddaughters growing up in a world where pay equity is old news and government legislatures are gender balanced. Can I get a heck yes? Yes! I see a future where young girls grow up attending women's circles as a normal part of life. I see a world where we have healed the illusion of separation and the need to compete, and a sense of sacredness for all life has returned. Doesn't that sound nice? When I say women, you say rising. Women! Rising! Women! Rising! Women! Rising! This uprising, this awakening right now has a ripple effect that can impact our families, our communities, and our federal policies. We can no longer afford to be apathetic and lazy. This someone else will fix it mentality must go. As the Hopi prophecy states, we are the ones we've been waiting for.